Hello and welcome to our sustainable journey. I am Steve. Today we're going to do a little review of one of our competitors' worm bags. Stay tuned. So recently, within the last 2 weeks, there was an individual who was getting out of having worms, and he was taking up too much of his time. And so he wanted to give the worms to somebody who would take care of them. And that's where we come in, because that's what we do. So he had 3 worm totes, a bucket, and this guy, one of these urban worm bags. Now, I've never used one of these. I think it's kind of a gimmick, but figured, you know what? I'll take it. We'll give it a try, see how it works. And I already have a complaint. You'll notice it's currently held up by sawhorses because the cheap plastic corner holder things, I think, so they go like this and they hold the legs up. The problem is this weighs a lot. Let's say this weighs 75 pounds when it's full. While those little plastic things can't endure this shifting when it's full, which kind of defeats the purpose because it can't support its own weight. So that's that sucks. And so that's not ideal in my mind. I'd rather tubs work fine. You don't need to pay, I don't know what these things cost, 100, 200 bucks, something like that. No clue. But if it can't support its own weight, what's the point? I don't know what version this is. Maybe this is an old version. Maybe they're better now. But that's my first complaint. As far as the material goes, it holds really well. It's durable. The zippers seem good. This is one of those where the top, you lift up the top. We'll do that in a second. The zippers are good. I don't know if they say military grade. I think that's also a gimmick because there's no such thing as military grade. But it's got durable zippers. So kudos for durable zippers. And the bag itself seems to be pretty solid. We'll have to, I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to sift some castings at some point. We'll see what it looks like inside, and then we'll sift some castings at some point, like months down the line. Like, I don't think it's going to be ready to be sifted just yet, but we'll take a look. So let's look inside. Because I had to put it on the sawhorses, it's kind of difficult to undo this. Okay. So there you go. You see all that white? That's going to be perlite or something like that. Corn cob. I don't personally like tea bag. I don't like perlite being added in there. I'd rather do all natural ingredients. Not sure what that is. Tea bag, coffee bag, something. But that doesn't make for good castings. The worms are doing okay. Here we go. Here. I don't know if you can see the worms. They look a little small, but they're fine. So they survived the trip, which is good. More corn cobs. It's gonna take forever. Take a little bit. Yeah, it looks like a lot of perlite. Doesn't look like a whole lot of castings have been made. So we'll be leaving this. Let the worms do a little bit more. If we had it covered with a plastic bag, keep the moisture in. A couple of plastic bags. I'm not sure why. A little bit of shredded paper. But otherwise, seems to be doing well. I feel more corn cobs. I don't want to dig too deep because upset the balance of it. But same as ours. You've got worms all over the tops and the sides, so just like any other bin. The idea here, if you've never used one of these worm bags, is you harvest from down there. So there's little clips on the sides, you unclip it and then you unzip it. And I'm assuming it unfolds like a chute, and then you can harvest from the bottom. So it's your typical CFT design. Fruit goes in the top, castings come out the bottom. So it's good for a household in that regard, but so's a bin. You don't need to pay for a gimmick, especially one that can't support its own weight. But yeah, so I'll build a stand for this over the winter, and then it'll be a little bit easier to harvest castings from in the spring, because these castings are definitely not ready. They need to do some more work on them. I think he was supplementing it with, I don't know, plant food or something. This is not castings. This is more of like garden soil is what this looks like. You probably can't, it's probably not going to show on camera, but it doesn't feel right versus the way castings should feel. So we'll let them brew, so to speak, for a few more months before I trust what comes out of this and mix it with my own stuff. So let's take a look at these tubs. Okay, first up, we'll do this bucket. Oh my gosh, which I thought would be easy to open, but it's not. There we go. All right, this might be what he considers sifted castings. Looks a little brown. It doesn't feel like sifted castings. No, that smells more like peat. That might be wet peat. I didn't see any worms in there. We'll close that up. Set that aside. Let's see what's in the big yellow. Okay. So we've got bedding material. So it looks like, I don't know if you could see, shredded cardboard and maybe potting soil is what it looks like. You can see all the perlite in here. It definitely looks like potting soil. I mean, it could be coco coir, it could be something else, but with all that perlite, it makes me think potting soil. Okay, so then we have two more bits. Oh, this one's in here. Okay, so, oh, this one has worms on it. You can see them on the lids of that. And in here, we'll get you in there. Okay, similar to the last one. This is not, I don't know what kind of castings he thinks these are. Who smells castings? It doesn't smell like castings to me. Doesn't look like them. Let's dig down. Yeah, I think this is more of the same. Probably peat moss or coco coir and worms. A lot of worms, which is fine. So, paper, brown paper, my goodness, I can't speak, plastic to hold in the moisture. But then you also have a lid, so you don't really need all of that extra stuff. Pinch myself. All right, that's that one. We also have, apparently he did a Vermi bag at some point. Again, you don't need all this gimmicky stuff, people. It's just a tote. Like there's nothing, it's literally just a bag. But that's empty. And another one. This one has no worms. No worms on the top. It's got some cardboard. I don't see any worms here. Got mold. Similar to, oh, this one's crazy dry. This might be just the material he used. Because I don't even see any worms in here at all. This is super dry. I don't think this had worms in it. At least I hope it didn't have worms in it. 2 little bugs in it. Okay, so that's gonna end up going into one of these things as either a bedding or another material. Oh, we'll give it a try. We'll see how this urban worm company does with their urban worm bag. So far, I'm not impressed because there's all the broken pieces. And I can show you the part that failed, so you can see it. So this part, the leg popped out and it cracked that whole thing, so that's kind of useless as a piece. The pipes held up surprisingly. I know a couple of them, at least a couple of them failed. I don't see it off the top here, but not that impressive if it can't support its own weight. So there you go. We'll reset all this, and we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll start feeding this one and see how these castings do versus the ones out of our big CFTs. Mousers that we're adding to the farm. 2 Siamese cats, kittens, to be our barn cats. So we'll lock them in the barn and they'll take care of any mice or pests that are in there. So we're kind of getting them acclimated to us in the meantime. There you go. So we've named that one Gizmo. We've not named this one yet. So if you think of a name, leave a comment. We'd love to hear it. Thinking Gandalf the White. They're both dudes.